just fucking supplying. You're just like this dense golden sun, it's like you have the power of the sun but the density of Pluto. That's just like, that's the feeling I get anyway. Salutations, acquaintances and those that are above just acquaintances, but probably not, because this is the internet. But alas, we can get to know each other, or you get to know me, more likely. But today I want to talk about this guy called Diogenes. He was a Greek philosopher that fucked shit up. Let's say the least. Shit got fucked and fucked got shit, and Diogenes was his name. Oh yeah. And I found that guy very impressive for two main reasons. One was his ability to not give a fuck, and two was his ability to just not need anything, really, like materially. Like he literally lived out of a cauldron. And actually, at one time he had a cauldron, like a massive kind of pot he just slept in like a homeless person. Well, he was homeless. He was a vagrant of sorts. And he also had a bowl, right? And then one day he saw a child going to the river, using his hands to scoop up water and drinking that. And he was like, well, fuck that shit. Why am I carrying a bowl? Like, am I fucking basic or something? Like, are we basic right now? Jesus Christ. And he got rid of the bowl and he was, that was it. And he was left to his cauldron. I don't know if he did this on purpose. Maybe he did, but he would expose himself. Let's just say he did. He would purposefully expose himself to embarrassment, to humiliation, as a way to get over the judgment of other people. Now, that's really fucking crazy, because it's like we live in a society where we try so hard to make ourselves seem like cool and hip, and we like PR ourselves, be like, let me fit in with you so you like me. But he's like, no, fuck that shit. People give too much shit about other people giving shits about them or whatever, right? So fuck that. Let's just get rid of that fear of judgment so that we can finally be free. So if anything, there was two types of freedoms he attained through his extreme lifestyle. One was freedom of judgment, which is something that I feel like plagues the fucking human condition, the state of envy, wanting to just be like someone else, wanting to fit in, and it's toxic, man. It's fucking toxic. And then two, free from material possession. So again, he thought that people, back in the days of the Greeks and their apex was, he felt like they were just living too lavishly, too luxuriously. And it's like, yo, kings and queens and you rich motherfuckers, like, that's enough, man. That is enough. That is not the way. That is your desperate desires for external stimuli as a way to kind of, place onto yourself as a way to derive some sense of fulfillment or happiness is weak. That is false. I dare say, as Diogenes, fucking saying his name wrong probably, Diogenes, I believe. Diogenes, yes. So I suppose he made a statement of sorts where he just kind of like almost performatively displayed himself as a homeless person wearing like rags and shit and, living out of this giant pot, this cauldron. But he wasn't just some like crazy old guy. And like, yes, he was a crazy old guy, but he was a wise fucking old guy. Because like, people will go up to him and be like, yo, Diogenes, you're fucking weird, and say this and that. But he was fucking smart and witty. He would just like outwit the fuck out of them. And then all the people that go up to him and try and make fun of them, they end up feeling like a fucking fool because he just schooled them. Because that's how badass he was. So it's like he wasn't just some crazy old dude trying to like fuck shit up. But it's like he had, shall we say, a meaningful core and a message that he wished to express. And he was actually very strong in that. Despite being homeless and looking like a crazy motherfucker, he had fucking substance, man. He was fucking badass. And that was really cool. And I think that really shot into the sphere of consciousness a criticism on the way that people were living. And, he would do some other kind of crazier things like, pee in public, masturbate in public, which I felt like perhaps is a little bit too far, but Diogenes ain't got no time for that shit. He don't give no fucks, right? So he just fucking did it. And I suppose, he kind of, okay, so because of all this crazy shit, he essentially at one point, I suppose, became like a tourist attraction, and I think the governing bodies of the town that he was in, they were like, well, great, you know, he's a crazy guy, but he's attracting fucking tourists to come in and be like, yo, this guy is crazy, let's go make fun of him, and it's bringing in tourism money. So they're like, well, whatever, like maybe he's a bit crazy, but he's bringing in tourists, and maybe some things he says is kind of true. So, you know, overall, it's like it's net positive. We'll have him around, right? So you know, he was good. By the way, his school of philosophy was called cynicism. Like not to be like a cynic, like that's a different thing. But his one is called cynicism, like this kind of very minimal, like vagranty, don't give a fuck lifestyle. I feel like that's kind of his school of thought, which I really like. I do feel like perhaps we need a bit more Diogenes energy in our lives, like not giving a fuck about what other people think. You know, maybe not to his extent, but at least a little bit more. And to just be okay with less, because it's like, it's not necessarily that you want to go out and just be poor and homeless, but it's like being okay with being homeless and like not needing external things to necessarily make your life complete. It's like the closer you can get to being happy with nothing, the closer you can get to just being happy all the time. You know what I mean? It's almost like a way to train yourself to be truly happy, or content in a way. There was this like Dragon Ball Z game I used to play as a child. I forgot what the name was, but it was really interesting. So it's like in the game you can go from like a regular Saiyan to a Super Saiyan to Super Saiyan 2, Super Saiyan 3, right? So if your power level was like 10 as a regular Saiyan and you go to Super Saiyan, your power level gets, I think, 10x. So then your power level as a Super Saiyan would be 100, right? So then it's like, let's say you power up for a minute and you power up from 100 power level to 200, right? Then maybe you go like Super Saiyan 2 and then that gets 100x again, right? Then you have 2000 power level, right? But it's like, if you spent the same time powering up in Super Saiyan as you did in regular Saiyan when you had, no power-ups, and you took your power level from 10 to 110, then you would be 1100, then you would be like 11,000, right? Because it keeps 10xing, for example. So essentially what I'm trying to say is, it's like the more you can power up in a base state, as a base minimum, the more gravitas you have in that base, anything extra like material goods or whatever you get will amplify that base so much more than if it's like you already had this like fuck ton of material possessions and you're this greedy fuck, and it's like anything more you get from that, your happiness level probably wouldn't increase very much or whatever, right? So it's like being able to develop yourself and refine yourself on a core base level so well that anything extra greatly amplifies that than trying to amplify something that's already, let's say, like cluttered and there's too much, right? Now you might be thinking, well, fuck, if I'm too give a fuck, no one's gonna like me, right? Wrong. Actually, it's fucking wrong. It's such a fucking paradox. It's like, it's ridiculous. It's like, well, look, don't just do it as a way to like fuck people over, but it's like genuinely just be yourself because you want to be yourself and that feels good. Not necessarily do it to spite people, but just do it to just to be yourself, right? You will attract the greatest fucking people that really see you for you. Like, you will find people that fucking get you. So with Diogenes, right, you think that no one would fucking like him, but no, you know who fucking liked him? Who wanted to help him? Alexander the fucking Great, man. Like, he was a cool guy, right? He was like respectable and had a reputation and people liked him. So I don't know the full story, but essentially Alexander heard about Diogenes and he was like, yo, this motherfucker, he's on some shit, right? So he goes to him and he was like, yo, Dio, Mr. D, if I could help you with anything, please let me know. And Diogenes was like, yeah, Alexander the Great, of course you can. Thank you so much, man. You could help me by getting the fuck out of my way because you're blocking my fucking sun, bro. And he was like, Alexander was like, yo, shit, man. Like he was blown away, man. He came at that time, at that moment, Alexander the Great came in his pants, right? Or his Greek apparel, whatever that was. And he said, as I paraphrase, if I were not Alexander the Great, I would be Diogenes, because he thought Diogenes was so great and so powerful that, he was worthy for Alexander to aspire to as a exemplary human being on this planet. So my point is, if you are genuinely yourself and not giving a fuck and just fully putting your truth and your power out there, you will 100% attract the right people for you. it might be extremely fucking difficult, you know, and it's something I am constantly aspiring to do, and I'm constantly fucking it up. I dare say, introverted feeling, you know, aspirations, because my extroverted feeling is so high that my introverted feeling is so low, right? So it's something I want to become. But it's like, if you fucking do, you know, if your FI is fucking strong, your introverted feeling, you know your fucking values, and you just put yourself out there like this massive fucking big cock. It's big dick energy. Fuck. It's big dick energy. You know, this Diogenes, big D, big dick energy. Dio, you know, Zawarudo. It's big, you know, FI, big dick energy. So it's like, if you genuinely just put your big dick, you just flop your massive fucking cock of a self-worth out there, you know, metaphorically, it doesn't matter if you're a man or woman, just out there as a way to be yourself, not to spite anyone, just to do it for the sake of yourself. Fuck, man, people will be drawn to your massive cock. People will want the D from you, metaphorically. And you will attract the people, you know, and you know, it's hard, but it's worth it if you decide to go down that journey, in my opinion. And at that point, you would have complete internal sufficiency. You know, you don't need other people to be like, oh my god, you're so cool, let me suck you off, right? Or external material possessions to feel some sort of validation. You know, you would just be this like fucking like unit. You're just this like powerful standalone unit that is just there, you know, just fucking supplying you. You're just like this dense golden sun, you know. It's like you have the power of the sun but the density of Pluto. That's just like, that's the feeling I get anyway. And I think that's something, you know, pretty cool to aspire to, in my opinion. If only we had the courage to go down that path, right? I dare say, my friends, my acquaintances, of course. You know, let's not get too comfortable. So I suppose that's my little spiel on Diogenes. If you guys have anything else you wish to add that you know about him, because I only watched a few YouTube videos, so I don't really know that much about him, but from what I gathered, that's kind of the main takeaways that really fucking got me off. And you know, to sum it up, it's like, if you ever feel this fear of judgment, or this potential of judgment, and you're like, oh my god, I don't want to do it because people are gonna think I'm weird. It's like, no, fuck it. That's precisely the point. You need to just like go into that fear, you know, and expose yourself to judgment, to humiliation, as a way to overcome it. Exposure therapy. Because once you do, you are powerful. You are fucking amazing. And then two, just be less materialistic in a way. You know, just like, you know, find that balance. You know, it's like, you know, there's that whole like minimalist movement, which I really like, and I think, you know, there's some merit in that, definitely. You know, being okay with less, essentially. You know, so I think find your base minimum. You know, you don't need to be homeless. I don't think you need to go that far. Like, you can, you know, if you really want to dive deep, but it's like, how minimum can you get and still be okay? And it's like, the more minimum you can get and still be okay is a testament to how powerful you are and how self-sufficient as you are as a human being. Like, not needing external things to supply you. It's like, you know, you are fucking capable to just go out there into this world and survive and thrive, right? So, my dear friends, on this day, in this new year of the ox, I wish you to become like the ox. Powerful, stable in your own power, diligent, like just fucking strong, just like a fucking unit, man. Just like a fucking unit. Like not a monkey. I guess that was not last year. I don't know when that was, but you know, well, be whatever you want, but just be as you can be, and not give a fuck about what other people think as much as you can. And I will try and do the same, you know, for the rest of my life. Maybe one day I'll get to a point where I'm like, you know, I've done it. That's good. You know, I've done it. I win, guys. But who knows? Until next time, my acquaintances stay above average.